Was this my biggest reselling mistake? Okay, so I bought 25 of these dress forms, new in box, to resell. And it may or may not have been one of my worst reselling mistakes. In this video, I'm going to talk about how and why I purchased these dress forms and why it may have been one of my worst reselling mistakes. So if you are interested in reselling related content, selling clothing and other items online, if you enjoy making money online or want to know how to make some money online, please consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a thumbs up. It truly helps me out here on YouTube. So let's talk a little bit more about why would I buy dress forms to resell in the first place. I am a clothing reseller primarily. I don't really do hard goods. I don't really sell like big, large items. So this was a first and may have led to why this decision was not one of my best ones. But I am definitely pregnant. I'm 22 weeks pregnant at the moment. And what spurred dress forms in the first place was just being pregnant. I used to model a lot of my clothing, and my old dress form was starting to really fall apart. It was really inexpensive and cheap, and it's been falling apart for years, to be honest. And it was time to get a new one. And now that I was needing to use a dress form more often, I started to do a lot more research into dress forms and mannequins and quality, and making sure I was buying something that wasn't going to fall apart in a couple months of using it, because I needed to be using it consistently for a pretty lengthy amount of time. And I think if you're going to invest in a dress form, you also want it to be a pretty good one. So I have been looking around for a while on various platforms, and I wasn't really finding what I was wanting. I was looking on Amazon. That's where I purchased other dress forms. I was looking on eBay. I was looking on Etsy. I was looking on Marketplace. And actually, Marketplace is what spurred a lot of this. So I found my first dress form that I got for a great deal is an antique dress form. And it has like the metal caged bottom. It has like that great wear patinaed look to it. And I got that for a steal on Marketplace for an antique form. I purchased, I think, that one for $150, and I was so excited about it, and I really love that form. And then I just continued on with my search. I'm like, okay, I found one that I really like, but I kind of like another one in a different size, because that's always been something I've wanted. I wanted a larger dress form that I could show a variety of different sizes on, rather than just a small form that, you know, you can't really show those sizes that are maybe like XL into plus size mannequin or plus size clothing. Just, it does not look good on a small dress form. It does not show the shape. It does not show how it would fit. And it also, those items don't look great on a hanger either, because they just kind of drowned out. That's my personal thoughts and opinions. And oftentimes, because I sell a lot of vintage, I can't find stock photos for those items. And so I was really trying to up my game on being able to more properly show fit. Anyway, as I continued my search, I was really not finding anything in the way of a good mid to plus size dress form that had good reviews. There was a couple on Amazon that I was looking at, but the reviews were pretty all over the place, and I didn't feel comfortable or confident in spending money, like good money, on that type of dress form where the reviews were just not great. And I wasn't even sure if I could return it or I wasn't getting a solid like return information. So I just was like holding out. And if you don't believe me, do some of your own research. Like the price range for like a mid to plus size mannequin or dress form, I should say, is kind of crazy and shocking. So I kept looking on Marketplace, and then I came across a warehouse sale by Christopher and Banks. And they were going out of business locally. They were going bankrupt. So maybe tip in your area, they might, I would assume, maybe have some sales as well, if that's a thing that's nationwide. Anyway, this warehouse sale was happening. They said they had mannequins. there was one person in charge of selling everything in this warehouse. And I had contacted this person via Facebook and said, hey, like, do you have any like mid to plus size mannequins? I'm looking for these types of measurements. And he said, you know, you can come measure yourself. And I was like, okay, I'll go measure some mannequins. And so I was wandering around a warehouse late one Saturday evening, measuring dress forms, and realized quickly that they did not have just a few dress forms. They had rows upon rows upon rows of new in box dress forms of, I think, 3 or 4 different sizes at that time. The largest I could find was this one here. She does have a 32.5-inch waist, I believe a 41-inch bust, and I'll put the measurements across the screen because I don't know if I'm saying this correctly at the moment. But I was like, you know what, this will work. It's not quite plus size, but this will work. She's definitely more of a mid-size. Size 12, like pants and shorts and stuff are a bit tight. 14s are fitting nicely, and 16s, depending on the brand, are also fitting really nicely. More of the sweaters and tops with stretch to them will fit like a large to, I think, size like 18, 20 is the largest I put on. That's still looks pretty normal. And like dresses, I've done extra large to extra large, depending on how the brand is running or how it's tagged, are fitting really nicely. Again, 12s are a bit tight. I know a lot of 12s out there have reached out to me and said, hey, those are my measurements. But this is not like, you know, it's a pinnable styrofoam body, but it's not as squishy as like our regular body. So that does affect kind of how a 12 will fit this. 14s are fitting much better, and same with like some 16s. So anyway, she is more of that mid size, and but I am really happy with this size overall, because what I've found is I actually pick up a lot of extra large items that were not properly shown just on a hanger, or weren't properly shown. I couldn't put on my other dress form, and I definitely couldn't model them before because that just wasn't an accurate representation of the item. So I'm extremely happy with this size overall. I think if I would have gotten a true plus size mannequin, I wouldn't have gotten as much use out of it, because I find more of the extra large to probably size 20 is probably the largest I usually find. Sometimes I have some one-off items that are larger, but for the most part, this is working really well for me. Anyways, yes, I do still have a few for sale if you're interested, and this is just kind of a little plug. I have 6 left, and you can DM me on Instagram. I'll put the info right here and also put it down below. You can send me your PayPal email address, and I will send you an invoice and ship via UPS. I'm asking $200 shipped, so I paid the shipping. We'll talk more about shipping in a moment, because that will get us into where I kind of went wrong with this whole situation. But that is the price that I quoted people from the beginning, and that is the price I'm sticking to. And this is a great deal for this quality of mannequin. Dress form. She does have like the little legs here, which makes showing pants and jean shorts, or shorts just in general, so nice. And so she does have a really nice shape to her, and the stand is really strong and sturdy and off to the one side, so you can show pants really well. Jumpsuits, I'll put some examples in here. So here's where I went wrong. There's a couple things that went really wrong in this whole situation, and shipping being one of them. So of course I realized, okay, like I bring this gal home, I bought her for $100. I felt like I got a steal because I know what's out there. I know what's been available. I know $100 for this quality is just incredible. I get it home, and I wake up the next morning, I'm like, wow, they had hundreds of these, and maybe I can get a good deal if I buy in bulk. So I go ahead, I ask if I can buy about 20 of them. What kind of deal can I get? We work out a deal so that, I'm not paying $100 a form. Otherwise, I would not have been able to buy and resell them. But I'm not going to share how much I paid. I will say now that looking back on the experience, like, I don't have experience. This is my first real experience kind of haggling, I guess, with a bulk buy in this situation, and I wish that I would have tried to go lower. And I think, that would be my advice if you ever come across a situation like this, even if it's not dress forms, if it's something else. Like, how low can you really go? And I don't think I fully explored that option because of a lot of different reasons, but I just don't think I had enough experience to fully understand. Like, I probably could have gotten a better deal. Anyway, that's a side note. I have shipped large items before via UPS, and I knew that I would have to ship UPS with these because they're large and the boxes were large. I knew the boxes were large. I'd been in the warehouse. And I knew they weren't that heavy, but I figured, okay, this is a big box. It's probably going to cost me X amount to ship these. And if I pay X amount for them, here's my profit margin. And that's pretty good. And so I thought, okay, I can do this and and it'll work. What I didn't realize is that shipping was actually going to cost me about double what I originally thought. A couple weeks prior to me buying these, UPS raised their rates. That was the first issue. Second issue was the box was so large, or so tall, they were 50 inches tall, that shipping actually cost just a lot more in general because of the box height. Not so much because of the box weight, it was the box height overall that kind of did me in. So shipping cost about double from what I was expecting, and that was kind of a shocker, like panic attack, shocking moment. But let's talk about why, oh my gosh, why I actually ended up truly purchasing these. Well, this is probably the number one mistake I made in the whole process. So when the light bulb went off, like, hey, you could bring these to the community, there is a need for this size dress form in our community, I took to Instagram. And I haven't been very active on Instagram. I do have like 11,000 followers, which seems like a ton, but know that a lot of those followers are not active. And because I'm not active, a lot of people are not actively following me or paying attention to what I'm doing. So that was kind of a mistake. So going to the community and saying like, hey, I did a couple different polls. I said, hey, if I can get a bunch of these, are you interested? Like 40 people, 50 people said like, yes, I'm interested in these. And then I did another poll and said, okay, if you said you were interested, I would need to charge $200 to $250 for these. Are you still interested? And like right away, within a couple hours, I had like 15 people say, yes, I am absolutely interested. I want one. And I had private DMs and people saying, I will buy one. I want one. And so I went into purchasing these dress forms thinking I had 15 sold immediately. And I originally was only going to buy 20. And I was like, well, I have 15 people already wanting one. I might as well buy 25. And yeah, a lot of people ghosted out. Like a ton of people that said they were interested ghosted. And, that's fine. Obviously, I can't expect people to stick to their word. But that was definitely frustrating and kind of a shocker. I mean, I figured a couple people would maybe ghost, or like maybe a couple people, would fall off. But I did not expect as many to fall off. Like I had like probably only 5 sell within the first few days from people who actually said they were interested, which is like 10 less than what I originally thought. But thankfully, what did end up happening is within a few days of really promoting this on Instagram, I had people sharing it, and a lot of people in the community who were not interested to begin with were sharing it out and saying like, hey, this is a great deal. You should look into this. Reach out to this person. And that really helped me move quite a few. So it did help. And then what I ended up doing right away was putting them on eBay, Marketplace, and Mercari. I've sold 2 on Mercari and 2 on Marketplace, and those sold pretty quickly too. I haven't had any movement in the past like 2 to 3 weeks on Mercari or Marketplace, so it happened pretty quickly. And now it's been kind of crickets and dead. But the thing with Marketplace, Mercari, and Facebook, or Marketplace, Mercari, and eBay is that I do have to ask more to kind of help me with those profit margins, especially because shipping cut into so much of the ones that I was selling just via Instagram and PayPal. So I know there's a lot of information here, and I hope that this makes sense. So the original plan was that the people that said they wanted these and wanted to purchase them, I would sell via Instagram, and they would send me their PayPal info, and we would just do it like that because less fees, less hassle, you can get the best deal. But when using other platforms, I do need to mark it up, you know, and get a better profit out of them. So I have sold, I think a couple around the 280. I think one sold at 280, 270, I think 240 and 250. And the 240 and 250 were both on Marketplace. And so Marketplace takes very low fees. So I actually made about the same on Marketplace as I did Mercari after fees were taken out, which was really nice and great for me. And overall, like, I have 6 left and they just need to be gone at this point, because what I haven't told you yet is that these had to be stored in my garage. And my husband, I did talk to him before I purchased these, and he was very, you know, very supportive, like, yeah, that's fine, like, you'll move them quickly, they'll go, it'll be fine, don't worry about it, just do it. And now I still have 6 in my garage, taking up space. We do use our garage and need kind of that space back. So we're to the point where it's like, okay, you need to move the last 6. Let's get these gone, because these boxes do take up a lot of valuable space here. So I did have to haul and move all of these by myself, and I did it over the course of about 8 hours. The warehouse was about 35 minutes away from where I live, and I had to make 4 separate trips because I could only fit 7 in my truck at a time, 6 in the back, 1 in the back seat, and so I could only move 7 at a time. So I had to make 4 separate trips. I spent 8 hours doing it, hauling them by myself when I was 16 weeks pregnant, and I used a whole tank of gas. And I will say, part of the reason that maybe I made this crazy decision is just because I'm pregnant. I think like a part of me was like, you are Superwoman, you can do anything. You're not going to let a pregnancy keep you from doing what you want to do. And I think I had that moment. And because my husband wasn't home, I was like, I can do this all by myself. We can do this. I was like, and so, you know, I did it and I felt great about it, and the adrenaline rush. And then the next day, like, after people weren't buying that said they were going to buy, like, the stress, the anxiety, like the overwhelming, like, fear that I'm going to have my whole, like, half of my garage taken up with these dress forms was like borderline panic attack. I think Carrie, Carnet Creative could definitely, you know, contest to that, because I was just messaging her, like, panicking for like a solid 2 days. But anyway, I am down to 6, which feels great, but overall, I don't think I would do this again. And if I would do it very differently. A part of me wishes I would have stuck to the original 20 instead of 25, because then I would only have 1 left. And I definitely wouldn't rely on an Instagram poll to be kind of the decision maker on whether or not I should buy something. And I guess I've never done that before with Instagram. I've never taken a poll like that and made a decision based on it. I know a lot of people do when they go to like thrift stores and make little small purchases. But in this case, like, I was really relying on the poll information and data to help me guide my buying decision. Like, when 15 people said they wanted them, I was like, well, I can sell 10 more. Like, it's only been a couple hours since I put this information out there. But again, like, that just wasn't the true situation. A lot of people weren't really interested when they said they were interested. And then the second, you know, that second big mistake was the shipping. Not really calculating the shipping correctly. So I think in the future, if I were to do like a big bulk purchase like this, I would definitely need to do more research into the shipping side of it and to see how much it would cost me. And, you know, lastly, I guess would be just to see how low of a price can I actually go. Like, how low can I go? Because I thought the price I was paying was going to be good for my profit margins based on the shipping that I had calculated before I realized the shipping was going to be double. So that was a mistake, and I should have like haggled down lower to make up for that shipping calculation. So anyways, I don't know if this is the worst mistake. It is definitely the most I've ever spent on only 25 items. And so that was just, again, like leading to this sheer panic of, what if these don't sell? What am I going to do? Obviously, at this point, I've made my money back and I've now made some profit, but I need to move these last 6 to really kind of ease my mind, my body, and get my garage back at this point. So I do stand behind the quality of this. I think they're a great form, and I have a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of other information on Instagram. I have a whole highlight section of my Instagram, and that has more information. Lots of people have received these now and love them. I've gotten some great feedback on Marketplace as well from a couple of the buyers that were really happy with the purchase. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I just want to thank you so much for being here and taking the time to watch this video and share it out in case someone is interested in purchasing one of these. I would love to know if you've had an experience where you've purchased or made like a really bad reselling mistake that you just wish you wouldn't have done. Like, let's just share and put it out there. Like, what did you learn? What would you do differently, etc. So if you're still here at this point, I'd love to hear your story. Anyways, we'll see you next time.